Hello and welcome to GearHeads. My name is Jesse, and today I think I have a pretty fun one for you guys. The vehicle in question is a 2011 F150 with a 3.5 EcoBoost, the twin turbo motor. So the story on this truck is the customer had an engine put in it at Ford last year sometime. So that engine is under warranty still, but I think he started having an issue and he wanted to see what the problem was and get it fixed, or if it was something that wasn't covered by warranty, or find out at least before he took it to the dealer, get it verified by someone else first, and then if it's something they can take care of under warranty, then go to them. Anyways, so he took it to another shop. I guess they had it for like a week or something and they couldn't figure it out, and they gave him back the truck without a good solid answer, and he ended up finding us. So he wanted to bring it here before he took it to the dealer and see what we had to say about it. So he, as far as I know, he was driving the truck and it started misfiring on him. It's flashing the check engine light. Truck's way down on power and it's spewing a bunch of smoke out the tailpipe. So that doesn't sound too good. Now let's go ahead and plug the scanner into it first, see what codes we pull up, and then we'll see how it runs. The truck did drive here under its own power, so we'll try and start it, see how it runs, and see if we can find what the deal is. All right, I'm plugged in. Let's go ahead and do the VIN scan. Got the dongle in, the key on. Should be able to find this thing. It's 2011. Ignition is already on, thank you. Identify the type of radio installed. AM, FM with CD. Alright, let's go ahead and do a health report and just scan all the modules. I mean, focusing mostly on engine stuff right now, but sometimes you get body codes or other things that could potentially have to do with the issue. We'll just see what comes up. We do have a BCM code there. Okay, so we got codes in the BCM and in the PCM. Let's just see the fault report real fast and see what they say. BCM, key and switch. Okay, I don't know. I'm not worried about that one. So we've got a P0087, fuel rail system pressure too low. Okay, bank 1 on this engine. I think that's the passenger side. Misfire detected in cylinder number 2. So let's go ahead and go back to the PCM module. So looking at the codes we got right now, there's a few things to consider. Obviously we're suspecting a fuel issue of some sort to begin with, considering we have the fuel rail system pressure too low code. I would not initially suspect the fuel pump in the tank to be the problem. So this system has two different fuel pumps. You've got your normal fuel pump in the tank, and then you have a high pressure fuel pump, which would be, you could also call it an injection pump, since this engine is direct injected. Considering the fact that it only has codes for one bank and not both banks, I would be somewhat suspicious. I wouldn't be worried too much about the pump in the tank. I'd be more concerned about the injection pump up there. But if it was doing that and it was doing it that bad, I would assume it would have set codes for both sides, and it only has a misfire code for one cylinder. So let's go ahead and start this thing up and see how it runs. All right. Ooh, that doesn't sound good. Isn't that long crank? So it did fire up, but it took a while to get there. I can hear it's misfiring, running rough. Check engine light's not flashing, but let's go take a look under the hood real quick. It smells like fuel, and that might be why. Look at that. This thing's pumping out smoke like crazy. All right, now before we go and start digging more, I want to just take a look at this here, see if we can get a little bit bigger picture on what's going on with this motor. I'm gonna do the power balance test, see what it has to say. All right, so it's showing cylinder 2 definitely down below the rest of them. Give it some gas, and oh, look at that. So that's cylinder 2, 4 spiked down once also, but ooh. Yeah, that's not good. So two's dropping a bit below the rest of them. Looks like 3's kind of dropping out too, though. So there might be a problem. There's definitely a fuel pressure problem on the rail on this thing somewhere. And considering how much smoke this thing's blowing out, we might have an injector that's stuck open. I shut the truck off for a second, but I want to pull up some engine data too and see what else we can find before we start digging into it with our hands. So fuel pump, all right, so we got fuel rail pressure desired. I want to see that. Fuel rail pressure. What else? I'm gonna take a look, maybe a little bit of air data, fuel trim data. Let's see, map sensor will give us a good idea of engine vacuum. Let's do the long-term and short-term fuel trims, see what they have to say. Oh, whatever. All right, let's graph this and let's take a look at what this shows. Long crank. So look at that. On the left you can see the fuel rail pressure desired. It gets up to about 1250 while it's cranking, and it only delivered about 550 under the fuel rail pressure PID right here. And right now it's desiring 600-ish, and it's only giving, and it's, oh man, it's dropping. Look at how much it's dropping. It's dropping down to 170, 180, 130, and it's desiring 500 to 600 over there. So that's way off already. You know, map sensor, we've got somewhat low vacuum. Fuel trims, it's pulling fuel because it says it's running rich. What's interesting though is it's showing about the same for both banks. It's not, I would kind of expect to see it different on the left bank to the right bank. All right, let me shut this thing off. So every situation is going to be different. With that P0087 code, normally the first thing you're going to want to check is your fuel pressure coming from the fuel pump in your tank. On these things it needs to be at least 50 psi. Go drive the truck. If it's dropping below 50 psi, you probably have a problem there and need to diagnose that issue, and then come back and see if you still have a problem with the high pressure side of things. Now in this case, since I already see how much smoke's coming out the tailpipe, I'm not going to waste further time going and finding out what the fuel pressure is at the pump. We've got a serious problem here. So also with the P0087 code, if it's not your low pressure fuel pump having trouble feeding the injection pump, you could have the injection pump going bad, or you could also have a failing injector that's sticking open or something like that, causing your rail pressure to be low. Now, considering how much smoke we have coming out of this thing, it seems like one of the injectors is probably all the way open, and considering the code is for cylinder 2, that's the one we're probably going to want to look at first. Another symptom and thing you can find if you suspect an ejector that's sticking open would be your oil. If you're dropping that much fuel into the cylinder, some of it's going to be going down past the rings and getting in and mixing with your oil. So let's check the oil on this thing and see what the level is and see what it smells like. All right, let me wipe you off. Ew. Oil's pretty dirty. All right. Okay, so the level, if you're looking at the stick, you got like your full level here. It's a little higher up, like you may be about a ½ an inch past the full line, and it smells funky too. Now sadly, I have not been gifted with a good sense of smell. I've always had a bad nose, but I still can smell fuel on this. If I can smell it, there's definitely fuel in it. So for me, since I'm already suspecting a problem with cylinder 2 because of the code and looking at the power balance test and because of all the smoke, the next thing I want to check is the injector. To actually pull these things out, it's kind of a bit of work. You've got to pull the intake manifold off, the thermostat housing out, and the water pipe, and then get down to the high pressure fuel rails and get them out that way. The quick test of what I'm going to do is pull the little engine cover off there real quick, and then the coils are right there, no big deal, just some 8mm. So I'm gonna pop the coil off and pull the spark plug out, and then let's see how the spark plug is too. So on these EcoBoost motors, the passenger side is bank 1, you got 1, 2, 3, and the driver side is 4, 5, 6. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the middle one here. Cylinder number 2 ski. There we go. Looks like somebody broke the retaining clips already for the coils. That's nice. All right. Oh my. This thing's soaking wet. Whew. Okay, I said I don't have a good nose, but this smells very strong, like gasolina. Where should I put this? I guess I'll put it on a rag. So now I'm gonna go do a cold flood crank test. I'm gonna put my foot on the gas pedal and hold it there while I'm cranking the engine. You turn the key on, put your foot down, then crank, and it will cut the fuel and cut the spark so the engine won't run. Now with like normal port injection or something like that, this test wouldn't really work. You wouldn't see enough fuel for what I'm trying to do, but with a direct injection motor like this, if that injector's stuck open and spewing out as much smoke as it seems to be, there's gonna be fuel probably coming out. So let's see what happens when I go try and crank it. Woo! I can see it from back here. Well, we found out why we have a P0087 code and the P0302 code. That injector is broken, so that thing's stuck open and it's just spraying all the fuel it can out of there, and it's taking down the pressure to the other 2 injectors on that side of the motor, and that's why we're getting the low pressure code. And then obviously the misfire code, because that thing's spraying so much fuel in there that the spark plug can't fire. And not only can it not fire, even if it did fire, the fuel ratio is going to be so far off that it wouldn't, wouldn't be a good burn even if it somehow did. And obviously all that smoke coming out of the tailpipe was because all that fuel getting dumped through. Now that's not good for the cats either, so we're gonna take a look at this. Hopefully the cat hasn't been damaged by it. And a couple other things we're gonna wanna check before we really just dive in and do the work on it. We're gonna wanna do a leak down test and a compression test, just make sure the motor's healthy, and we definitely wanna make sure that that cylinder is still healthy, considering how much fuel has been dumping in there. You could potentially have a couple problems, like you notice the oil level was a little higher than it should be and smelled like fuel. If somebody was to run their engine for a long time like that, you could cause a lot of damage in the engine with fuel mixed in. If it hasn't been like that for too long, then it's probably okay, but I don't know exactly how long this issue's been going on. So we also want to do the leak down test to try and make sure that that cylinder's healthy. We'll probably check the other ones while we're at it. And we'll also want to put a borescope down that spark plug hole too and make sure there's no scoring or anything like that on the cylinder walls. It's possible that lubrication could have gotten messed up from having that much fuel dumped down there. Just got to remember, it's always good to test, and it's our job before we get something done and tell a customer what they need that we try and get the whole complete story and as much data as we can, because if somebody was to do this and they ran it like this for a couple months or something and then brought it, the truth is they'd probably end up needing an engine. Hopefully this guy doesn't need an engine. Hopefully he ended up taking it to another shop that didn't fix it, right after the problem started, and then he only drove it from there to here. If that's the case, this doesn't have very many miles on it at all, and hopefully we can just replace that fuel injector or all of them while we're in there and call it good to go. Well, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If there's anything I missed that you know about or you have any info you want to share with me, please share down below. It's not easy when you're making a video to remember everything off the top of your head, so I'm sure there's stuff that gets forgotten sometimes. But in any case, I hope that somebody found this helpful, and maybe you can use this to diagnose a similar problem in your truck from the stuff I said. And it's always good to properly diagnose something instead of throwing parts at it and hoping it's going to fix it. It's not too much work usually to actually diagnose something the right way, and you can save a lot of money in the long run, and you get a lot of skills and you learn a lot from it too. So if you have any questions, go ahead and drop a comment down below, and if I can't answer it for you, maybe somebody else can, but I always do try my best to get down there and answer your guys' questions if I can. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. We got more videos like this. This one was pretty exciting. I haven't seen a fuel injector fail like this, where it's spraying that much fuel out of the spark plug hole like that. That was pretty cool to see. So In any case, you know, we got more Diag videos. If you guys enjoyed this, you know, short video like this, please tell me down below. I'd love to do more small Diag videos like this. And then we also, you know, I do how-tos sometimes. We've got tool reviews. Either way, we're always doing stuff here at GearHeads. So thank you for watching. And as always, keep wrenching.